The Purosangue is the ultimate vehicle. It blurs the lines between sports car and family hauler. Far from the first of its kind, but possibly the best. That's why I think it may be the last car and the first Ferrari. Before we go too far, it's important to state the Purosangue is clearly not the last produced car ever. Every manufacturer has a plethora of new cars in the works right now. But the landscape is different. For the last few years, we've been in the middle of an industry shift. It's like we've been in the final phases before the release of Car 2.0. See, Car version 1 was everything we were promised from the likes of Ford and Ferrari. The entire progression from now all the way back to Carl Benz. Car 1.0 was the poster car. It was your parents' car. From boss level sedan, Japanese imports, to haulers and exotic cars. 2.0 is promising and prioritizing different ideals. Ride height and power supply displace handling and the visceral experience. They're all blazingly quick, and trade in this interior for this interior. In fact, the interiors are all mostly the same. And design? Well, it's more about clicks and likes than true beauty. So this leads us to the obvious question. What is a car? We're not talking about the Wikipedia answer. This is a question for the petrol heads, the children of version 1.0. What is a car supposed to be? What are the parameters that define a car for you? Some that come to mind are performance, handling, comfort, capability, practicality, technology, and of course looks. The list is surely longer, but this is a good foundation. See, we've been honing in and conflating on all these variables for years. Pickup trucks got faster, wagons meaner, and sedans began to compete in places they really shouldn't. In the race for the perfect car 1.0, we've seen a confluence of segments, a crossover of ideas, but we've never seen the perfect execution, all things coming into one. Until now. According to Ferrari, the Purosangue isn't an SUV. Apparently it lives in a corner of the industry outside of standard nomenclature. However, as a car, it floats between the foundational ideals that make up each segment, again crossing borders into uncharted territories. Performance? It's a monster. Quickest accelerating, highest top speed, and most power of any petrol SUVs, at least until the new Super XM drops. Handling? Well, there's a reason they don't call it an SUV. All accounts point to it handling like a Ferrari should. Its lower center of gravity is certainly helping that. Comfort? Top of the line Ferrari. I've never been sold on the dash layout. We're in an era of asymmetrical design. And while a departure from the norm is usually welcome, it's not my favorite. But the comfort and sport luxury is there in droves. Capability? It's not an SUV. It's not going to take on the Defender in the battle of the unbeaten path, but you'll get further than you would with your Roma, or better yet, your Camry. Practicality? Count the doors. Then count the usable seats. In a high-riding Super GT non-SUV. Amazing. And while we're usually swinging around back to look at the glorious V12 or V8, now you can look at the luggage you and your 3 friends are carrying around. Mind-boggling stuff. The tech is there, everything you'd want and more. From the amazing active suspension tricks to a dual-screen control interface, the tech doesn't really stop. Things like an electrochromatic roof, massaging seats really just bolster the tech and comfort specs. The list is long, but the short version is, it has what you want. And how does it look? Well, see, one issue I have with how some reviewers score consumer products is that no consideration is really given to the segment the product is in. While I'm a big fan of demurral, the Doug score really illustrates the point. Something like the Chiron scored a 73 out of 100, which funny enough made it the highest rated review. Now in school, a 73 out of 100 was nothing to write home about. The reason for the low score is because all cars are graded using the same parameters and rated across all segments and all cars equally. So if your Chiron can't go off-road, points deducted. Your Camry can't hit 60 in under 4 seconds, points deducted. Honestly, there's nothing inherently wrong with looking at every car through the same lens, but to me that's like rating all your tools equally. Your screwdriver can't hammer in a nail, points deducted. I bring up the Doug score not to dog on Doug's point system. It's one of the many ways we can look at the industry for sure. The real point is, Doug score or not, is there the perfect car across all metrics? Is there a car that can tackle everything we want in a car? If neither a McLaren F1 or an M3 can do it, what can? How do we reach 100? One word: Purosangue. Okay, truthfully it wouldn't hit 100 because it's not the best at any metric. There's more luxury in a Rolls, acceleration in a 911, capability in a Defender, and practicality in an F-150. But the problem is that none of these cars stand a chance taking on every parameter we want from a car. Well, the Purosangue has the best chance we've ever seen. I agree, the Urus, DBX, even the Bentayga also deserve a place on the list, but each of those lean more on one aspect over another, whether that's luxury, sport, or GT. But the Purosangue, it can hit just about everything. See, it really seems like the last car for the petrolheads of old, the final form of car version 1, all that we've been dreaming of into one singularity. You might say it's version 1.999, the last of a generation. And this may be the end of this era of cars, with Tesla spearheading the electric revolution, and mainstays following suit. You know, I'm not anti-electric, but it's comforting to know that the public isn't as quick to adopt electric as mandates are trying to stipulate. But for now it seems like, whether electric or not, a new era of cars coming. The public has spoken, and they're willing to sacrifice handling for a high ride height and room for the Home Depot haul. And with that, this also seems like the first Ferrari in a new generation. Imagine in '97, when Infiniti was dropping the QX4, the idea of Ferrari making a high-riding brother to the supreme F355. Yet here we are. The idea of an electric Ferrari seemed impossible, but the SF90 teeters on that possibility. A Panamera rivaling sedan seemed foreign, but the Purosangue shows Ferrari isn't afraid of 4 doors. This feels like the first step in the next era of Ferrari, a glimpse of what's to come. So is the Purosangue the best car? No. I'd love to go faster, further off-road, with more bags in the back. But there's never really been this chance to do so much of that in one package. When we think about what the best car is, we always have to break down that question. Are we talking supercar, sedan, SUV? Because we all know no car is made to do it all. But this may be the closest we get to Doug's dream, the all-encompassing feat that ushers in the new order. Ferrari is bridging the gap between version 1 and version 2, the ideals of old with an outlook into the future. And that's why this is the last car and the first Ferrari.